chick, naughty girl, certified pro.
I know what you want, but I'm all up on my toe.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Quoted by Tiff. This is episode 12, I think. Yes, episode 12. And today, we're going to be talking about generational curses. Um, Everybody kind of knows what that is, or you kind of heard it loosely being referenced in any type of conversation, especially on social media. I see it a lot on social media. So I'm going to talk about what generational curses are, how they came to be, and how you can break generational curses in a small way. It's not always about like breaking this big curse. When you hear about it, you usually hear like abuse or addiction, things like that. But breaking small generational curses is just as important as breaking the big ones. So I'm going to talk about that and kind of how I kind of break generational curses every day in small ways. So without further ado, let's get it popping, y'all. Okay, so what exactly is a generational curse? The way I look at generational curses is this. It's something that's toxic, that's tolerated. So let's just say there's a generational curse in your family for gossiping. That's something that's been going on, for generations. People, gossiping, talking about things that don't have nothing to do with them, things like that. This is just an example, y'all. And it's been going on so long that the people in the family don't even know that they're doing it. It's become almost second nature. Even though it's toxic, even though it's a trait or it's like a behavior that does not need to exist, it still exists because nobody knows that what they're doing is wrong, if that makes sense. Or not wrong, toxic. So we all know every family has that person in the family that gossips a lot, calls people, tells people business. I think everybody has that person in their family. I have friends that have that person in their family. So I think that's kind of across the board when it comes to, certain people in the family. And that's toxic, and sometimes when I have something to say about certain things, it doesn't come out in a way that people can digest easily, but that's toxic. Gossip is toxic. Just to get on the phone and talk to someone about someone else's business or just someone else in general, that's toxic. And that's a generational curse that unfortunately is still going on. Not a lot of people realize that that's not right. So a way that I try to break that curse is, first off, I do not tell my kids business. If my kids tell me something in privacy or they tell me something in confidence, I'm not going to get on the phone with my mom or any other family member and tell, what they told me. They trusted me enough with that information and I don't want to break that trust. So I keep it to myself. It's not really a secret. It's more so of privacy, respecting, your family members' wishes of not telling anybody. And I think that's something that I do daily. I have to check myself sometimes, but I do it daily because I remember how bad it feels for, you to mess up or make a mistake and somebody will take that mistake, hop on the phone and just call everybody, look what she did. Look what she did. That's not right. That's very toxic. And not only is it toxic to the person that's doing it, it's detrimental to the person that you're talking about. That's not right. So I try my best to, keep my kids confidence, keep them wanting to come to me and tell me things, because if you are always getting information and telling some stuff on the phone, your kids are not going to want to come to you and tell you anything. They're not going to trust you. And that's one thing that I don't want to do is break my kids' trust. So I think that's a generational curse that I try to break every day. It's not like this huge curse, but it is a curse, because it affects people. Another generational curse, y'all, that I try to break every day is I try to introduce myself to a new diet. So we all know the culture. I'm Black. If you're African American watching this, or even if you're another nationality watching this, Nigerian, whatever, there's these diets that we've been eating for generations and generations. They're filled with sodium, they're filled with fat, they're filled with, things that we should not be putting into our bodies. But it's became normalized because, again, a generational curse is something that's toxic but tolerated. So, I'm talking about eating overly greasy foods, fried foods, fatty foods, just things that are not good for our body. And in the beginning, I didn't realize, when you're raised up on certain types of food, you eat that food. You don't know anything else. But as you become an adult, you start to introduce yourself to other foods and other things. And I think I started to do that. And what I do in my household is we don't eat pork. I grew up eating pork. We don't eat pork in my house. That's something that we don't do. I know that's not a good. I feel like pork is something that Black people eat, and it causes high blood pressure, it causes diabetes, it causes all of these things, these lifestyle diseases that run in our families because of the diet that we inherit. So I'm making my business to try to introduce new foods to my kids and new foods to myself, because I'm still healing that part of myself that is trying to break those curses with the food. Always eating something fried or always eating something salty or greasy. I definitely have, I do my part every day to break that curse, because that's detrimental to our health, and health is wealth. We can't be alive to see our kids grow up if we don't watch what we put in our bodies. So yeah, that's definitely one of those generational curses that I'm constantly breaking, because I try my best to, if there's something that I grew up eating and I know better now that I'm not supposed to eat it, now I kind of look at it, I look at the package, and my conscience will not allow me to eat it. I'll be like, you know what? I'm not going to eat this. I'm just going to put this to the side. I'm going to get an apple or something. It's one of those things that I'm constantly working on every day, and that's okay. You can't break every generational curse in your family. It's more than one person in your family. I feel like when you're born into your family, you're assigned to break certain curses. Like, you're assigned to break them. And sometimes, people get the call and they don't answer it. And sometimes people get the call and they do answer it. It all just depends, but everybody gets the call. Everybody does. And can't nobody argue with me and tell me that they don't. Okay, y'all. So let's talk about the bigger curses, addiction and abuse. I'm going to specifically talk about domestic violence, because that's one that I tried to break. Well, I ain't gonna say tried. I did. I feel like women, because of the history of how women have been treated throughout history, domestic violence has literally become okay. And I feel like that's how it got embedded to be a generational curse, because it's tolerated. And again, what did I say earlier? It's toxic, but tolerated. It's one of those things that are tolerated. Like when I scroll through social media, sometimes I see jokes about it. I'm like, why are people joking about domestic violence? As somebody who was literally in that type of situation, that's not a joking manner. It's funny on social media. People can do anything behind a keyboard and laugh, but when you're actually in that situation, it's not funny at all. And I think that's a big generational curse. I grew up watching men put their hands on women that were close to me, and that wasn't cool at all. And that's a generational curse. And then I've seen them go back, or I've seen the loop. Like, a woman leaves this man and she goes back, she gets another man and he's abusive too. It is a generational curse. That is a cycle. And people are so deep into the cycle that they think that toxic love is actual love, and it's not. It's become a generational curse because they've tricked us into thinking that means that a man loves you, and it does not. If a man puts his hand on you or hurts you in any type of way, that he does not love you at all. I don't care how long you guys have been together. I don't care what he has proclaimed to you. He does not love you, because somebody who loves you is not going to hurt you any type of way, emotionally, physically, verbally. They're not going to hurt you at all. So I think I was in an abusive relationship, and it's literally a cycle. It's a cycle because I never knew how to look for the signs of an abusive man, because that's what I seen growing up. If you see that growing up, you can be like, it's amazing what you will tolerate, because the mind is a powerful thing. What you see when you grow up, that can literally program your mind to behave a certain way, and you don't even realize it unless you sit down and really think about why you do the things you do. Why did I stay with this man and he was putting his hands on me? I know why now. I know it was a generational curse. It's one of them things that's programmed in you, and you have to literally deprogram yourself. But while I was going through it, I didn't know why I stayed. I really did not know why. Can't even say because of the kids. I had my own job, my own money, my own apartment. I paid all the bills. I can't even say it was because of that. It was literally, it was a generational curse that had to be broken, and I broke it. I left him, and I have not been with an abusive man since. I can't say, well, no, I haven't been with abusive men since. I have not. And I think it's important to, when you are breaking those big generational curses, it's important for you to kind of identify what this is. This is a generational curse. I remember seeing my mom, somebody put their hands on my mom, and now look at me. Somebody's putting their hands on me in front of my kids. It is a cycle. And I promise you, if you sit down and you really think about some of your behaviors, you will realize the only reason you do them was because you seen it growing up, or you seen some kind of aspect of it growing up. Okay, so y'all, we've talked about the small generational curses and breaking the big generational curses. And I think that the main thing that I want you guys to take from this is that you can make a difference just by doing things differently. So let's just say, I'm going to just do a random example. So if you grew up, seeing people come in and out of your house, men come in and out of your house, or just different men or different people in general. When you grow up and you don't even realize that you're like that until you stop and take a look at yourself, like, why am I doing this? Why? When we fail to question ourselves, we fail to heal. There's no way you can heal if you do not question your own motives. Your motives are not always the right motives. And you don't know that until you sit down and you really just think about why you do the things you do. That is the first step in breaking any generational curse, big or small. So y'all, that's all I got for you. I hope that you were able to take something from this, in order to just live a better life, or just kind of break some of those things that you've seen growing up that you really didn't like. That's my time, y'all. Bye.